Hello everyone, happy Friday. I will give you guys a minute to hop on while I pull up my feed here. Just as usual, make sure everything's working before we get going. It looks like it's there. It's always a mystery, especially lately this week and last week, whether or not the internet will be working, but it looks to be like it is there. So if you are there, say hello and I will know that you are here with me. I am back today to finish off the week. Hi Linda, how are you? With the Unbounded Beauty series. So all week long I have been creating with this suite, and I have created 4 projects so far, and so this is the 5th one. I am Alana Worf, Sleepless Stamper. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So the Unbounded Beauty Suite is a suite by Stampin' Up! With this suite, we have the Unbounded Beauty stamp, or Unbounded Love, sorry, stamp set, Flowers of Beauty stamp set, and then I also have the Unbounded Love dies that go with the Unbounded Love stamp set, and a whole lot of other stamp sets. You can use those labels with just about anything. And the same with the Flowers of Beauty. Sorry, I have a couple of dies that I haven't yet put back on there, so I'll just put these back on so you can see the complete set for day number 5, or sorry, day number 4, project number 5. One day I did 2 cards because I was not able to come live on Monday, so played a little bit of catch up on, I think it was Wednesday. I did 2 projects and I will show those to you. So I have, this was not marked like this earlier in the week. I actually just did this last night because obviously I've been using these dies quite a bit this week. And I will often switch these over to a magnetic sheet, but in the meantime, I've been trying to make sure that I mark them when they arrive, just in case I haven't yet got to a magnetic sheet, so that I know where everything goes back. And it actually usually, although you just saw they were not back on the sheet, I've been finding that it makes me put them back right away, and it keeps all the adhesive a little bit cleaner, especially if you have a black-haired kitty around. Hi Karen, how are you? Sorry, I missed you myself the other day. Oh, you're working on Country Flowers again. Or it was Country Birdhouse the other day, right? Yeah, I'm sorry that I missed you when we did the exchange of product last week, Karen. It was, yeah. Many of you probably know that I have a diastasis, and so I was just getting that investigated. So nothing serious. Karen met me at met Ryan actually at an appointment, but nothing serious, just looking into that, and man, that's daunting. But anyhow, so these are the 2 bundles, and then we have the glitter paper in all of the in colors. So yesterday I used some Shy Shamrock, today I used some Petunia Pop, and it does include all of the other in colors, so Peach Pie, Summer Splash, and Pretty in Pink as well. And then we have the DSP, which I will quickly bring out for you guys again as well, which is this one here. And I gotta set my things down. I've been rearranging some stuff and working on a special project you guys will get to see soon. All right, so we have these patterns here. I have used this one quite a bit this week. I have used this one. Hi Sharon, how are you? I have not used this one yet. I was telling you guys that reminds me of one of those cottage patterns we had long ago. So we have this one here with this on the back. We have this one here with this on the back. And we have this one with this. And, oh, see, one of them here, I didn't show you the back. We're already at that one there. So let's just make sure we have all of them. I think I have one set aside here. Yeah, the missing one is the one that I use the most of, and it is today's, which is this one here with this on the back. I love this one. I love both sides. Those are probably my 2 favorite ones. In addition to, let's see which one that was. Oh, I do really love this one. and this one. These are my favorites, these three right here. I love all of these sides. Those are the favorites for me. As you can tell, they're the ones with the least amount left. So if you are purchasing this suite and you're going to play along with my challenge for this week, you'll have lots of DSP left over to create lots of other things. So the challenge behind this week is if you wish to receive my kits from this week's cards, you can place an online order with this host code of $65 or more. Aw, thanks, Karen. It was nice to wave at you through the window, and here I am waving again. So if you're interested in participating, a $65 order with this host code here will qualify you to receive all of the 5 kits. So I will show those to you. This was day 1, project 1. Day 2, I made this one and this one. So that was projects 2 and 3. This was project 4, although I feel like it needs to be made in Petunia Pop to coordinate with everything. What do you guys think? And this one is an easel card. I posted this one earlier today. And then project 5 is today's, and that is this one here. You guys might recognize this one. I'll show you where I cased this one from. And this one does have some decor on the inside as well. So I might have to add something to the inside. You would for sure get a liner for this one. And then this one's got an inside like today's does as well. I just switched it up, and instead of DSP, I stamped on the inside. So those are the 5 cards. I will post an image of all of these together so that you can see the full lineup. But for those who are contemplating the ordering special, it's a $65 order with this host code, or I do have a month-end order going in. You can contact me and I can add it to that tonight after the live. It has to be placed by Sunday to qualify you for these card kits. And then on Monday, I will come live with a new suite or bundle or stamp set. So if you have any particular stamp sets you want to see projects with, feel free to comment. Last week, somebody commented Flowers of Beauty, and that was part of what helped prompt me to this suite for this week. So you can participate in that. And then one last note, a $75 purchase will qualify you for, I just have to meet the requirements of the tutorial group. So a $75 purchase qualifies you for the Global Creative Project Tutorial Bundle, which for June, which will release June 1st, is projects with the Unbounded Beauty Suite. And there are 12 of us globally who have created PDF and video tutorials for you. So you don't get the product to go with them, but you will get the tutorials. So if that interests you and you have the suite, then if you just bump your order up $10, you'll get that tutorial as well. All right, so let's create. I have some supplies to share with you guys. And first, I am going to show you, do you guys remember when I got back from Mexico, I did this card that was inspired by one of the swaps that I got. And then I also did this card as the mystery stamping with my team. I loved how the columns of DSP with an embossing folder had this really cool texture. And I thought that this one would look really pretty, made to look like a quilt. So with the Dashing Designs, I'm just going to grab that to show you guys. The Dashing Designs 3D embossing folder. To me, that looks kind of like a quilt, or Bounty, as some of you guys have said. It totally looks like paper towel, but it also has kind of a texture and look like a quilt, or look of a quilt. So I'm going to do that today. So we're going to play with this. And that was what inspired this one. So this one here, the little greeting is just over here. This does match. When I made this one, I told you guys that I felt like it followed the sketch that the Global Design Project had that week. And this actually matches even more closely. I have the fan on again today. I'm sorry that this ornament from Brenda was clanging on my camera stand. So I've moved that in case that sound was annoying. I love her ornament, but banging against the stand might be bothersome. Okay, so I have a 4 1/4 by 11 Petunia Pop card base. Then I have 2 layers of Pretty Peacock, one for the front and one for the inside. And I'm just going to give you guys the measurement again. not again, but 3.5 by 4 7/8. So there are 2. Then I have 2 basic white that are 3.25 by 4.5. These are cut with the Flowers of Beauty dies I was telling you about. I'm going to show you which one. So this one here, now if you get the card kits, these will be cut for you, but just so that you know if you're wanting to make more or if you're going to make these from home without the kits from me, this die here is how I got to this. So I'm going to snip this down some. So I have 2 of those. And then I have 2 sets of these little sprigs. These little sprigs are actually from the Unbounded Love label dies. They come from here. And then this label also comes from the Unbounded Love. Now, separate from that, I cut a strip of Pool Party flowers. You guys have heard me rave about these all week. I love this little strip. So I cut a strip of those in Pool Party, and then I actually just used 1. So I don't need this whole little chunk of them, but I've got those to use on other projects. And this is actually 2 sets of, so I don't need the 3rd large one, but I have 2 sets of the Pretty Peacock sprigs. I'll bring that back one more time from this one here. And you get 2 of them, so you could die cut, actually go in different directions, and it was this one that I used. So just so that you know that. All right, and then I will need a little die from there again because I am going to stamp. I have a scrap to stamp these leaves. So they are the same as the ones I stamped yesterday with, again, I almost called it Call Me Clover, Shy Shamrock, but today I'm going to color that with Pretty Peacock, and it's just tucked in behind here. So those are the supplies. And now we will get creating. How about that? So I've pre-die cut this little greeting, and I'm going to just move some of these over so they don't get lost. I have my stamp here, and I have some memento, and then that's going to be for the flower. And for my greeting, I have Versamark, and I have the happy birthday. The happy birthday is from Unbounded Love. I've been telling you guys how much I love this with the pretty greetings for the front and then all of these smaller ones for the inside. So I'm going to use happy birthday on the front and may all your wishes come true on the inside. So let's do this first. We'll get this embossing out of the way. So I'm just gonna make sure that I've removed the static with the embossing buddy. And then we're going to take the lid off that. And I have my white powder handy. So I'm just going to ink this up with Versamark. And this is going to stamp a little bit. Hey, Janet, how are you? This is going to stamp a little bit on an angle because I didn't like how it cut so much off on if it was straight from the bottom of the Y. And I stamped on an angle. Sorry, before I stamp that, I'm just going to show you. I purposely stamped this one on an angle too, so I don't mind it not being straight. I think these greetings kind of lend to that. They can go either way if you want them to. So I'm going to just stamp that on a bit of an angle. That was Versamark. And then I'm going to heat set with white powder. Now, excuse this really messy scrap sheet. I've been doing lots of stamping. So I'm almost done creating all of the samples the samples from In Color Club in all of the colors. I like doing them in all of the colors. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, sorry, I had to turn away so that I didn't sneeze all over my powder. That would be a bit of a mess. There we go. Sorry, you got that paper in your face there. Okay, so now I can heat set this. Just get that off. I still feel like heat embossing is like magic. How about you guys? It's just so satisfying when it goes from powdery to glossy. And it is fascinating watching somebody emboss, whether it is wet embossing, which is this style of embossing, or dry embossing with embossing folders. I still love seeing somebody do that for the first time and how wowed they are. It's one of my favorite things. All right, so we have happy birthday. I will add some further detail, just like I have earlier in the week. I'm going to stamp on either side of that. First, though, I'm just going to, oh, sorry, Ruby's at the door. I just need to wipe the powder. I got a little bit of powder on here, and nobody likes that feeling. Powder on the table. Just gonna let her in there. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my leaves with Memento. It was funny the other day after my live was done, like we had the door to the room closed so she couldn't get in here, and they were trying to distract her, so they were kind of keeping her away from the door. The second she heard me say goodnight to you guys, she flew off the couch, grabbed her toy, and was waiting at the door for me to open it. It was so cute. Hi, Ruby. Yes, you're so excited. I thought it was adorable. All right, so that's going to sit aside for a moment. And now I have this flower from Flowers of Beauty. And I have my pretty peacock. I'm going to just put this underneath here. And we'll ink this up. And I'm going to just nestle some in around the H. And then I'm also going to nestle some in on the other side of the Y. There we go. I also have some on the inside. So while I have this stamp, I am going to grab one of my white layers here. These are both the same size, so it doesn't matter which one. And I'll ink this up again. I'll just open that up so you can see. And I am going to stamp this over the corner. There we are. I love that stamp, and I love Pretty Peacock. Now, while I have this piece here, I'm also going to bring in the Petunia Pop and the stamp that I am stamping on the inside. So I have May All Your Wishes Come True, and my Petunia Pop, and we're going to stamp this and then just set this layer aside. So I try to be efficient sometimes and stamp more than one thing at a time. So we've got that. Now we can put this aside. I'm just putting this with my stack of supplies here. Now I can put this one away. Get my scrap sheet out of the way. And I am going to color these leaves in. So just like yesterday, I went with one color. I'm going to start with the light. So I have my light Pretty Peacock, and I am just putting a layer of color lightly over the whole image. Trying not to go outside the edges. Okay. Now I'm going to take the bullet tip because the brush tip of my Pretty Peacock is pretty squished and it would not stay in these lines. So I'm just coloring these smaller details on the leaves with the dark bullet tip. I'm not sure that I even have a spare. I need to remember to put that on my order tonight. All right, now I'm going to come back to my light Pretty Peacock. And I am just going to, here, I'll close this and get that stamp out of the way. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to color over the dark section and a little swipe on either side of it. There we go. So over and then to either side. Just a little bit. And then It's just going to soften the difference between them just enough. So no real fancy shading, just blending that out a tiny bit. There. I'll bring that closer so you can see. So we've got this super simple coloring. And this is where I need to grab that die that I was telling you guys I had one more die cut to do. So I'm actually going to snip this. Can you guys believe it? I cleaned my cutter and I got Ryan to WD-40 it for me. So no more squeaking. Can you believe it? Although it has definitely loosened it up so it doesn't like to stay up. You see how that falls now? So I just need to be careful that I don't have that fall on my fingers. All right. Which was worse, the squeaking or the hazard? All right, now I have some Post-it tape here. So I'm going to just tape this down onto here. I want that to be lined up. I'm going to move my card for a second and bring in my little cutter, my little stamp cut and emboss machine. What's everybody up to this weekend? Is anybody crafting this weekend? Or if you're around this area, are you getting yard work done? Or both? We certainly need to get our grass cut again, and we have so many outdoor projects to do. When we do this online sale, it's definitely all encompassing for about a month. So we are getting behind on yard work. That's for sure. Okay, so that is now between the two clear plates. I always like to tape almost always, I shouldn't say always, but almost always love to tape my dies down. Especially if you've colored an image. It's never fun to have colored an image and then go to die cut it and you wreck it. So I tend to tape them down. All right, now I can bring the card back in. I've got my leaf there and this here, but I have one more thing I need to do. Now, of course, there it is. I had saved myself a piece of DSP. I cut it earlier so that I could show you guys how I did this here. So this piece begins as this size here. And that is 3 inches wide by 4.5. So if you want to make these columns like this, a 3-inch wide piece by 4.5 is all you need. Let me just make sure that this is not too, no, it's 4.5. I thought for a second that maybe it was too long. Now what I want to do is bring back in my little cutter, and I am going to cut this. I'm going to move these out of the way. Can't speak English here. So now I'm going to take these and cut them down into 1-inch strips. Originally I had cut 1-inch strips and I was going to do it that way. And then I was thinking, well, I really loved how this was a pattern cut into columns. So I thought, well, I'm going to keep it like this instead of having a strip where when you lay them side by side, the pattern won't match up. I would just go ahead with a piece like this. Now, if you are working with a different type of pattern that it's not really going to matter, or you don't care if the pieces line up and you like the look of them being a little more mishmashed, you totally could use 1-inch strips if you have them. I had this to work with, so I decided I would just go ahead with this, but it's again 3 by 4.5. Now I'm going to cut 1-inch strips. So I want to cut this at 2. Whoopsie. And then I have to hold that up. And then 1. So that's going to give me 3 1-inch strips. This is kind of silly. I'm going to have to do something that this blade doesn't fall down on me like that. Okay. Now I want to make sure my pattern, hi Ruby, is still matched up. Hi. She likes to have the door open so that she can just come in as she pleases. Now this piece here is one of those white layers that is 3 1/4 by 4 5/8. Now I'm going to glue these onto here. You can do a quick dry fit first and make sure that everything works out before you start gluing. So I am just going to double check that all my pieces work out. There is not a big gap in between, just a small gap. I'm going to make sure this one is actually 1 inch and not a little bit wider. It is a hair wider. My piece must have been a little wider than 3. So that will help me recover that little bit of space in between. There we go. That's better. Okay, so now I have a little bit more of a reveal in between those layers. I was pretty tight with that extra little bit there. Okay, so now I can pick one up at a time and glue these down. You can do either Tombow or not tear and tape, sorry, Stamp and Seal. You really don't want to put too much Tombow in because I'm going to run this through the embossing machine, and you don't want that glue to squish out of there and seep onto your folder. So be cautious. Now if you prefer, because of that, to just use Seal, because that will not seep out on you, you can do that. But I am just keeping this well within the edges, and I'm going to do the outer 2 sides first, because then I can just kind of scoot them over. This is the reason I prefer Tombow, because I can just scoot them around if needed. Now I need to make sure that I put this back down in the right direction. And this is going to go centered in between them. Now that's also the benefit of keeping your Tombow well to the inside, is that if you need to shuffle it a little bit, you won't end up with glue in between those layers, if that makes sense. Okay, so now this is smooth. You could absolutely use this as it is, but I want to give it this quilted texture here. So I'm going to move this aside one more time, and I'm going to bring in the big machine. This folder does not fit through that little guy, so we're going to use the big machine, and I apologize, I can't fit the whole thing in here, but I will still show you what I've got here. Okay, so this was, if you missed this earlier, this is the Dashing Designs folder. That is this one here, and I'm going to just place this inside there, and then just pushing that folder over. This is the plate that you want to use when you're using a 3D folder. So no bottom plate, just the bottom platform, then your embossing folder with the paper in it, and then the gray plate. That is the sandwich or recipe for 3D folders. Now look at that. I just love that texture. All right, so I'll set this down and we'll put this machine away. Okay, so that is that main technique. Now, years ago, we called this inlaid embossing. I don't know if there's a different name now. Excuse me, I just had to have some water. But that's what I know that technique as. All right, so now we can assemble. I actually forgot to cut one more piece of paper for you guys. Now, throughout the week, and typically, I have showed you guys often that when I have a strip of DSP a little bit behind here and here, of DSP the whole width of the card. I will often just cut. Now again, I've got to hold this little cutter up because it wants to drop on me. So I'm going to just cut a little piece. I'm cutting 3/4 of an inch. This is the proper height as this one, which is, let's quickly tell you, it is 1.5 tall. And then I have cut a 3/4 inch piece, and I'm going to cut another 3/4 inch piece and try to not cut my fingers off with this blade that wants to drop down. There we go. That's what happens when you WD-40 it. There. Okay, so now I have just these little pieces that I will put on either end of the card or either side of the card, and I don't need a whole strip to go the whole way across. I'm not actually going to put those on first though. We are going to begin with some other layers first. So I have my card base. I'm going to bring in one of the pretty peacock layers. If you're just tuning in, the other one's on the inside. So I will set the one for the inside and the inside layer just aside for now. And I'm going to go ahead and glue. See, look at that texture. It's so pretty. I am going to glue this textured layer down to the pretty peacock layer. I think pretty peacock will forever be one of my favorite colors of all time. I just love it. Sorry, my scrap paper is falling down with the fan there. If you heard that little tumble. There we are. Okay, so what I'll do next, I'm going to dimensional this down before these. So I'll put one in each corner. And then I like to put a couple through the middle. How about you guys? Are you minimalistic, dimensional applicators, appliers, however you want to call that? Or do you go nuts with them? I'm not super conservative with mine. I like to make sure it's covered. Okay, now the trick is get this as straight as I can without sticking my head in your view. I'm actually gonna, whoopsie, flip that over. One side was a little longer and I don't want the short side to be on the front. I'll have to trim that up a little bit after. There we go. So that's on there. Now I can come in with these, and because my dimensionals are in the middle, I have lots of room to just glue these in and tuck them like that. All right, so you could always do that at the beginning. Now I'm going to use the card beside it as a guide. So I'm just going to tombow this just a little bit so that I have enough room to sneak this in. And now I can just slide that into place and tuck it along the edge. There we go. And then I'm going to slide this over and use that as my guide on the other side. Do you all keep your tombow in one of those little holders that keeps it upside down? All right. And when I put the first one when I put this on my first card, I just have to wiggle that up. I stuck that down a little too much there. When I put this on my first card, I actually used the grid. So this is the dotted line and it's about halfway up. So I'm actually going to just go to the dotted line here. Tuck that underneath the I let that stick too much first. Don't do as I do, you guys. I need to put a little bit more glue on that. There we go. Now, I'm just going to follow the grid this time instead. So this is just above the dotted line. It's about an eighth of an inch above this dotted line. So I'm just going to tuck that in there. There we go. Follow the grid instead. There, now I can just push that in. There we are. Nothing that can't be fixed. We have a bit of a cold running through our house. Sorry, I have to grab Kleenex a few times here. Okay, now I'm going to dry fit. Dry fitting is just placing things in where you want them without any adhesive. Now I need to bring in my glitter elements. So they still have the negative pieces in them. I'm going to snip off what I'm going to use first, and then I'll pop the negative pieces out. Hi, Ruby. She's going to keep coming to say hi. She's like, the door is open. I'm allowed. Okay, so in here, I am going to, whoops, the fan blew that away. Hi, Ruby. Hi. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so in between these two here, I'm gonna just snip this away, but very carefully. I wanna be able to maintain both sides of that, so I don't wanna go wide into the leaf. I'm just going to do a very minimal snip here to separate that. So thank goodness for snips. And then I'm going to snip this off right in here. So you still have this that you could use. And before I set this down and forget, I'm gonna just clean this little edge up right here. There we go. Now no one will ever know, and you can still use that. And on this now, we can pop out those negative pieces. Don't need those. You could leave them in there if you prefer that look. But we've got this here. Now one's gonna go in here. And this is the exact same die cut. So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. I tried to do this in a way that would still leave me with worthwhile elements that I could use on another project. I was actually thinking I might use some on the inside when I first did this. Just gotta get my snips in there. I don't wanna, there we go. And then we'll snip this away right here. Okay, so we've got that, and then I'll clean up this little bit of that leaf right there so that we can use this again on something else. There. Okay, so we've got all those leftover pieces. Get these little pieces out of here. You could use a die brush, your die brush tip if you have one for your take your pick tool. I just didn't do that ahead of time. Okay. Get all these little bits of glitter out of here. Sometimes I save those and you could do a shaker with them, but not this time. Okay, so now these, we're just gonna dry fit all of this. I'm not gonna tuck these little ones into that side because, oh my gosh, sorry, close the door. Ryan's probably getting home from the grocery store, so she's got to speak to him. All right, so I have this little leaf that's going to tuck in here, and then I have this little flower. I tried stamping one of the smaller flowers in the set and I just wasn't loving it, so I decided I was going to leave that and just go with a die cut flower. I'm sorry, she's so noisy. All right, so now this looks crooked now that I'm looking at this. What I'm gonna do is glue dot these ones into place. So I have my glue dots here, and with this roughly where I want that, I am going to grab one of these and stick that on a glue dot. And then hold this steady. There's no adhesive on here. So that is the benefit of dry fitting first. And I'm just going to tuck that right in there. And then I'm gonna grab this one and get a glue dot on this one. And then do the same thing. So I'm gonna just reach in here. And that's gonna go about like that. All right, now I am going to take a couple of dimensionals and I'm gonna place one where it overlaps that stem and another one where it overlaps that stem. I will end up sticking some more in here after, but for now, that's what we've got. Now I can stick this down, so those dimensionals are going to help hold these stems in place, and they're gonna help hold this down next while I fit the rest of the elements in place. Now hopefully that's straight again because it is hard to see. So now with this one here and that dimensional doesn't go too far, I'll be able to put this on a glue dot and tuck it in there. So I'm going to grab another glue dot behind this stem. Hi, Lisa and Lynn. And we're just gonna tuck this right in here. Okay, oh, I think I want to angle that out just a little bit more. There we go. I probably should have raised these glitter ones up a little bit more, but that's okay. All right, now I can take this little guy, pop the dimension, or the little negative spaces out of there. Could use a piercer. That one doesn't want to come out. There we go. Just wondering if it didn't get tie cut. I'm actually going to pull a little bit off of this one and shorten it some. And then just stick that to a little glue dot. Now I'm lifting these up and I'm going to tuck this in here. And I'll use another little glue dot, make sure my little negative spaces are popped out of this small sprig. And another little glue dot. Now this one, I'm going to just reach under here and tuck right in there. And then I have two more. I am going to tuck these ones, make sure we've got all the negative spaces out of here. So how many of you guys have all of the in colors? Do you have them all yet? It's so hard to be patient and wait for them, especially if you're in an in color club. I mean, it's a nice budget friendly way to get them, but it is definitely, it can be hard to wait when you get one at a time. Okay, so now this one here, I put right underneath here. I can see some elements on my card are crooked now that I'm looking at it more. So there's a little glue dot at the end there. Now I'm just gonna reach under here and tuck this one in there. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this little one, and I love these little sprigs. You just need to add a little something. This one's gonna go right in there. Okay, so that's that side. Get rid of more of these little dots. All right, so that is the bulk of the card. I'm going to still add in this little flower. So these are just little itty bitty glue dots. I am going to place this kind of right, nestle it in here over the, kind of in the stamping over the leaf off to the side there. And I have some of the, whoops, I threw something else off the table. Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels. I store my embellishments in these containers and then just label them. So I have some of these little itty bitty ones. Now, I think I have some on a sheet sitting here. Give me 1 second. If I can find the started sheet, I am going to use those. I mean, this one is started too, but I had a few spare ones just sitting on a little backing. Oh, here they are. So we're going to use these little guys first. I have a couple here, and I just need one. I knew I had that sitting somewhere. I kept it out, so I'm going to put that little pearl right in the center of that flower. Now I'll put this back in my case so it doesn't go missing. And I should put this one back in there too. I'll have to, I know I'll need it for prepping these kits for you guys. All right, so if you are just tuning in and you would like to earn the kits from this week, you still can. So you have until Sunday to make a purchase. You can order with me directly tonight if you'd like. If you are local, I have an order going in tonight with month end, and I can add your order to that if you would like to pick up. If you want to place an order to have your order shipped to you directly, you can use this host code and order online and have it shipped straight to you, and then I'll mail you your card kits. Okay, so now we just need the white twine, and then I need to put the liner on the inside. Excuse my reach. So I'm just going to tie a little baker's twine bow, and we will tuck that in place. Hi Audrey, how are you? Did you get any stamping done this week? I've got lots of stamping done this week. That's for sure. I actually really enjoy going live with you guys every day and creating every day. It is nice to have this to look forward to and to get to spend, like there's so many other jobs to do, to get to have a few moments to stamp. I love stamping. And I'm very lucky to get to do this every day. Okay, so I'm going to just cinch that one back a little bit before it's too stuck to the bow. And then I'm just going to take this and tuck that bow right in there. So it's kind of just right behind the greeting label. So there we are. Now, what I did on this one, I'm going to actually shuffle this layer after we're not on camera. So I'm not going to do this last step to the front, but I'm going to explain it to you guys. So in order to help this, you can see here how this is kind of winging forward over top of all of these elements. So what I did on my sample is I actually, now that everything was in place, I took another half a dimensional, so just snip a half of one and tuck it under each end, so under here and under here, and then I also put one underneath here. And if you end up needing one, sorry, under the top, oh, then you could put one under here as well. Then what I did to help hold these things down, because it's kind of those dimensionals will pull this forward. Oh, Linda, I'm glad that you love stamping too. I have figured that you must, because you make a lot of cards and I am one of the lucky recipients of your cards. So I love that you love stamping. Oh no, Audrey, you're sick again. Ah, that's no fun. You know what? Ethan had to go to the walk-in again today because he has had a cold, oh gosh, like 3 or 4 times in the last couple of months. It's like it just leaves slightly and comes back. So the doctor he saw today told him that that's kind of how this cold that's going around is going. It's like it just keeps coming back. So maybe that's what you have too. Hopefully it'll leave you alone real soon. Okay, so I was just saying that once I attach these things down with the dimensionals to the flowers, it still wants to pull them forward on the sides. So then I took one of the glue dots and just lifted up these little floral elements and stuck some glue dots behind there to hold it down. I gave it to you. No, I didn't have anything at that point, although maybe Ethan did. I started getting a tickle in my throat Wednesday night and it's mostly gone for me already. I've been taking all of my like natural things that I usually do, except for now I have a tickle in my throat. Not like what was there before. And then I would take, sorry, another glue dot and just tack it behind these things and stick that down. I'm going to grab a cough candy and come right back. But again, I don't want to do that just yet because I want to move this bit. Maybe that will help. I just got a throat lozenge. This isn't, I'm not feeling like a cold. It's just like I got a tickle in my throat, like dryness. Sorry about that. Oh, all right. So that's the front. And then all I have left to do is add the layers to the the inside. So I have May All Your Wishes Come True, and I'm going to glue that down to the Pretty Peacock, and I'm still not going to use that Tombow. I don't like how it leaves that little indent, so I am going to use my Stampin' Seal, which I just used, although you guys have heard me knock a few things down to the floor today. Where did my Stampin' Seal go? Let's see where it is, everybody. Ruby, do you know where it is? Oh, right in front of my face. It's right beside my camera stand. Okay, so we're just going to attach that. I can't wait to see what you've been making, Linda. Now, if you like to catch the replay, I have been, or Ryan has been helping. I can't say I did it myself. He's been helping get everything loaded to YouTube. So these will all be on YouTube as well. There we are. Now, I will use the Tombow for gluing the pretty peacock down because I don't find it leaves the little indent from the tip on the back of colored cardstock, but I do find that it does on white, basic white. All right, so there we are. I don't know why I don't always do the inside of a card because I really love it when I do. So there is the inside, and that is the outside. So Audrey, I don't know if you were here at the beginning when I showed all of the cards for the week, and I was saying that I will post a photo. I know you had asked earlier, so I just wanted to mention I will take a photo of all of them. I'm hoping I have enough daylight to still do that after I'm done. I have to do a quick little video for a special project that's coming once I'm done as well. So I hope that I can get both of those things done once I'm finished on the live, but I'll post that photo for sure of all 5 cards. And first I will bring those back in and show them to you guys one more time. All right, so this is day number 1, and then we have day number 2, which was these 2 here. I was very tempted to do another landscape card today so that they weren't mostly portrait, but I just loved this layout too much. I decided I was going with it anyway. All right, and then we had day number 3, which was project number 4, and we have day number 4, project number 5. So this is the set of the Unbounded Beauty cards that you will earn the supplies to if you choose to participate with this host code and place a $65 order, or you can submit it to me today. I'll say by 9:30 p.m. Central Daylight. So if you want to get in on this with submitting through my order to save a bit on shipping, then I would just need to know by 9:30, but you do still have until Sunday night to use this code and place a $65 order. A $75 order will also get you the Global Creative Project tutorial. If you are a team member, so Audrey, you will actually get the tutorial for free. Those get sent to team members. Oh, thank you, Audrey. That's so kind of you. So now, one last thing too, or a couple last things. The starter kit special ends today. So if you want to get in on the starter kit special so that you can get all of these in color products for free, then you only have until the end of today. The time is definitely running out on this one here. So for $135, you get to pick $165 in product of your choice. And then on top of that, Stampin' Up! Is going to just give you these. I think some of them are on back order, but they will send them to you when they come back in stock. So you won't miss out on them. They just might not come right away with your kit, but they'll still send your kit. And then if you would like to still register for my ephemera pack class, I can still sneak that in with today's order as well. It is next Wednesday, so you would maybe have to do the replay depending on whether you would get your supplies on time, because they would just arrive Wednesday at the earliest. But that is these ones here. So that's the ephemera pack class. And then the Take to the Sky Suite class is the following Wednesday. And these are the cards we will make. And I can still add that to tonight's order as well. So that is what is going on at the moment. I will hopefully have a calendar of June events out for you very soon. I cannot believe it's June. Cannot believe it's grad time. Not that I have a graduate, but so many others do. And I mean, in the US, a lot of them have already had theirs, but some people in Alberta are having theirs already. It's just like, where did the year go? The school year go? Anyhow, and the year is almost half done, 2024. That's crazy to me. So my artisan term is like, I'm already working on July projects. It's crazy how fast time flies. All right, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will post to let you guys know what time I will go live on Monday. And I don't currently have plans to go live over the weekend, but if I decide that I am, I will let you know how that goes. All right, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will catch up with you guys for sure on Monday, if not before then. Have a good weekend, everyone. Good night.